Whoops. I didn't mean to loop it, and I also didn't add myself to the stage, but that's okay. I want to show you guys something real quick that has nothing to do with anything. Do, 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 do. I'm trying to convert it so I can put it in StreamYard, but I didn't convert it in time, so I want to make it, I'm going to make it an MP3 to put in here. So this will be my next soundbite that I'm going to do. I don't know why. Dr. Phil has the best clips on his show, at least his old show. That shit cracks me up. Like, yeah. He's got so many. I have so many clips of Dr. Phil saying outrageous shit, but this one's a personal favorite. I'm cold, y'all. I am cold. Oh, you guys couldn't hear it? Oh, boo. Oh, well, yeah, the volume's up all the way. Well, I'm sharing it through QuickTime, so I don't know if it does it. I will add it later then. I was trying to get it to airdrop earlier and I was having trouble with that. I couldn't get it to do anything I wanted this morning. I don't got time to mess with it. So, because in order for it to upload to StreamYard, it has to be an MP4. And I was trying to get it to convert and it would not. So I am going to, let's see, MP3. Let me try this. Save. Overwrite. All right. Anyway, I'll get it eventually, and you guys will see it. Yeah, I can't make the sound any louder. Sorry, it's up all the way on that. So, oh well. Uh, so far the new job's good. It's just I have to be at an office Monday through Friday, 9 hours a day, which I'm not used to. So, still getting used to that. Let's see. Where is my playlist for today? Man, it's cold. I don't like it. Like, it's so dry too. I have a headache because it's cold, and, let's see. So, I don't know if you guys saw the news yesterday about the execution of, Robert Robertson. A Texas judge halted the execution yesterday. But then this attorney, I think the prosecutor, filed something and then uh, was like, no, this has to happen. And then the Supreme Court overturned it, but he still wasn't executed. So I don't know what the heck is going on with this. The news couldn't even catch up with it last night because some of them were saying, oh, he had a stay of execution, but then others were like, no, the Supreme Court overturned it. So I don't know what's going on with him. Uh, if it's true that they can prove that the kid died from pneumonia, then uh, I have very mixed. Normally, when it comes to executions, I'm like, yeah, go for it. I don't feel bad at all whatsoever. This one I don't feel so good about. Uh, because the science that they use to determine shaken baby syndrome, I guess, isn't good science. I have no idea, but yeah, this one I don't feel so good about because if somebody is going to be executed, I need to be a bajillion times sure that they did what they did. I don't want an innocent person being executed at all. That's just not something I feel good about. So, and the only reason I'm really pro death penalty is because there keeps being changes in the law where people get out, even if they're sentenced to life. You know, people are getting out of prison, life without parole. Oh, they changed the laws. You can get out if you're over 65 and you serve 30 years or whatever. I don't want anybody getting out that has done a horrific crime that, was just a cold hearted uh, murder. The Menendez brothers, I feel a little bit differently. Of course, there's going to be some cases where there's going to be exceptions, and there's better. I mean, there's never really an excuse for murder except if you're going to be killed yourself. But there's some cases that I feel differently about, like a mother with postpartum depression that had a complete mental break, maybe deserves a chance to get out in 20, 30 years. Susan Smith deserves to rot in prison because she killed her kids over a man because she wanted a man. That's drastically different. Uh, let's see who covered it. Potentially Criminal covered it last night. So going to do a quick video about Robert Robertson, and then there was an execution that did happen yesterday. I don't know what the hell is going on, if it's like the fall is execution season, but there has been so many executions the last few months, and some of these states haven't had executions in years. So I'm not really sure what that's about. So all right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. Let me share the screen because I'm not doing that. And I'm cold because, see, I even have a blanket. Like, I'm wrapped up in my blanket. Like, it's not cold enough to turn the heat on, but I'm a little chilly. And I have a headache because it's dry and I forgot to turn on my humidifier.
And we continue to follow that breaking news, these breaking developments in the scheduled execution of Texas death row inmate Robert Robertson. He was set to be executed right now at 6 o'clock, but just after 4 o'clock this afternoon, a Travis County judge issued a temporary restraining order halting that execution.
In the meantime, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to intervene and stop Robertson's execution. KPRC2 investigator Robert Arnold is live in Huntsville. Robert, give us the status update on this execution.
The execution is currently on hold, and let me explain how we got to this point. That temporary restraining order that we are talking about, the foundation of Robertson's conviction was that he shook his 2-year-old daughter to death. His attorneys have been arguing that the science that led to a diagnosis of shaken baby syndrome was outdated and faulty. In new science, more refined science, has shown that there is a probability that his daughter actually died from pneumonia, not shaken baby syndrome. So they've been trying to at least see if they can get a new trial, a reprieve from his execution. State lawmakers on the House Criminal Jurisprudence Committee have been investigating whether a law in Texas referred to as the junk science law is working as intended. That law allows people who've been convicted of crimes based on scientific evidence that is later proven to be wrong or outdated can seek an appeal based on new evidence or more refined evidence. So that committee was looking whether that law is working as intended in the state, and they're looking specifically at the Robertson case. Late last night, lawmakers on that committee subpoenaed Robertson to testify at a hearing that's coming up this Monday, and that set up an interesting clash of powers in Texas. Does a subpoena from state lawmakers actually trump a death warrant in the state of Texas? Well, the lawmakers on that committee requested a temporary restraining order, and late this afternoon, a judge in Travis County granted that request for a temporary restraining order so Robertson can testify at Monday's hearing. However, the Attorney General's office is expected to appeal that, and we don't know if that appeal is going to happen tonight and will allow the execution to go forward, or if it's not, or if the execution will actually be halted and scheduled for another day. That's what we are waiting to hear right now. Now, at the beginning of this, you had mentioned that the U.S. Supreme Court had declined to intervene in this case. However, Justice Sonia Sotomayor, in her dissent, did say that she is urging actually Governor Greg Abbott to exercise his authority to issue a one-time 30-day reprieve to Robertson so all of the evidence can again be re-examined. The Texas Attorney General's office, as well as prosecutors from Anderson County that handled this case, say that the evidence is sound and that this execution should move forward. Now, one of the lawmakers that has been pushing for Robertson to get a reprieve, he is here. It is State Rep John Busey, and he is from the Austin area.
I am concerned for him, I'm concerned for his family, and I'm also concerned for the precedent that if we execute another innocent man today, what that means for our justice system, and do we even have true justice in this state?
So again, we're waiting to see what happens with an appeal from the Attorney General's office of that temporary restraining order, because at this point, there are no other roadblocks to the execution other than right now, that temporary restraining order. So we will keep you updated, and as soon as there are any new details, we will let you know. Reporting live from Huntsville, Robert Arnold, KPRC 2 News.
Justice has finally been served in the state of Texas. Someone finally listened to us and listened to Robert, and they know he's innocent. So yeah, we're excited.
So that's his sister that said that. And the reporter that was talking, I like that reporter. I know him. I've interviewed with him a few times. He was with us at the state capitol. I really like him. He's a good, fair reporter. Okay, so the audio, I think I got it. Let's see if it works. The Dr. Phil audio.
Let's throw down, bitch, I'll whoop your ass. Let's throw down, bitch, I'll whoop your ass.
Did you guys hear that? I hope so. Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see what is going to happen with this, if he's going to be executed or if he's going to get a stay or what. Because if his kid did die from pneumonia, then he probably shouldn't be in prison to begin with, especially executed. So moving to Mobile County, a mass murderer was executed. And in this case, he has, admitted to what he's done. He said he's sorry, et cetera, et cetera. So at least this one, we know that it's not some innocent person that is going to be executed. Let's see. I need to remove some of these because we don't have time to do all these videos. I wish we did. Okay. All right. So let's watch this one. I got to let my dog in the bedroom.
Be a warning to all of you. If you ain't serving the Lord, you serve that devil. This is what you get for evil in your life.
Well, strong words tonight from a murder victim's family member right after notorious killer Derek Dearman was executed.
Now, Dearman used an axe and a gun to kill 5 people in Mobile County back in 2016. Just a few hours ago, his death sentence was served.
And our Brendan Kirby is joining us live from Atmore. Brendan, you witnessed that execution.
Yeah, that's right, Lenise and Cameron. I was one of the media representatives chosen for that duty. Dearman apologized one last time for his crimes. Then he told his own family that he loved him, and then he was gone. Derek Dearman drifted off quietly Thursday inside the Holman Correctional Facility's death chamber. It was in stark contrast to the chaotic and gruesome drug-fueled rampage he went on in August 2016 when he killed 5 people and an unborn baby. Dearman admitted his guilt and asked to be executed. He instructed lawyers not to pursue appeals or try to delay the execution, and he used his final words to reiterate that message. To the victim's family, forgive me. This is not for me. This is for you. I've taken so much. Then he addressed his own relatives. To my family, y'all already know I love you. That prompted an anguished response from his father, who said, Derek, no, and Derek, don't go. Robert Brown, the father of Robert Lee Brown, one of the victims, says he hopes the execution is a deterrent.
Let's let this be a warning to somebody for a change. This don't bring no closure to us. We're going to suffer the rest of our lives.
On the night of the murders, Dearman was angry at his girlfriend, who had gone to stay with relatives in Citronelle. He picked up an axe in the yard and a gun in the house and worked his way through the building. The Leakesville, Mississippi man killed Robert Lee Brown, Joseph Turner and his wife Shannon Randall, Justin Reed and his wife Chelsea Reed, as well as her unborn child. Dearman's spiritual advisor says he tried to persuade Dearman to pursue appeals, but he says that he had terminal remorse.
Derek had a lot of conviction about what he did, and that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you know, I don't think that that's something that anybody should, turn their head at.
Dearman was executed by lethal injection. Now, that's the standard method of execution in Alabama, and it stands in contrast to 2 previous executions this year that used a new method involving nitrogen gas. Witnesses in those cases reported the condemned prisoners writhing. Reporting live in Atmore, Brendan Kirby, Fox 10 News.
All right, Brendan, thank you. And shortly after the execution, Governor Ivey released a statement saying Dearman asked to move forward with his sentence and that, quote, the state has obliged and justice has been served. I pray for the loved ones of all these victims whose lives were taken far too soon, end quote.
And the father of the victim is right. It doesn't matter if somebody goes to prison for the rest of their lives. It doesn't matter if they're executed. That pain never goes away. There is no such thing as closure. I have a reaction every time I hear somebody say, we're going to get the family's closure. We're going to do this, closure, closure, closure. Reporters use it all the time. There is no such thing as closure when it comes to a loved one's violent death. There is no such thing. You might get answers, but there will never be closure, ever. His spiritual advisor, so like normally it's like a priest or a pastor or something. He could be a pastor. He has a very interesting beard, but I'm glad that this person took accountability for what they did and didn't keep filing appeals and torture the victim's family. I appreciate that. Thanks. Thank you for that. So an update for the missing woman in San Antonio, Susan Simpson. The police have ended their search in the landfill. The evidence that they had, they really thought that they were going to find her there, but they searched for 4 days with no new information.
This just in tonight, authorities announced they are ending their search efforts at an East Side landfill for Suzanne Simpson. She disappeared from Olmos Park early last week. KENS 5 reporter Meredith Haas is live at that site right now. And Meredith, what have you just learned?
Yeah, EC, so just moments ago, DPS told us that they have called off this 4-day search completely because they found absolutely no evidence that would point back to finding Suzanne Simpson or solving this case of her being gone. Now, I want you to see that they have totally, completely covered that hole where they were digging, and they have moved that mobile command center. They are going to be gone. And again, searching here is over. Today, they were out here for hours, 9 hours, and they've been out here for days trying to find Suzanne Simpson. But again, that search is done at this landfill. It's been over a week since she was reported missing on October 7th. Suzanne was last seen the night before when a neighbor said they saw her and her husband, Brad Simpson, fighting in front of their home. Brad remains in the Bexar County Jail on a $2 million bond, and he's also facing a federal charge for possessing an illegal short-barreled rifle. Now, authorities say he is still not cooperating with investigators. Once again, this investigation happening at this landfill on the east side is over, and we don't know where investigators are going to go with this case because Suzanne Simpson remains missing. But as for this landfill, they will not search here anymore as they have found no hard evidence. Reporting on the east side, I'm Meredith Haas.
Yeah, they searched through all that trash and didn't find a damn thing. Yeah, the only thing that the police have said is that there is evidence of foul play, but the police won't get into that right now. The husband's still not cooperating. The brother of the suspect is saying, like, hey, he won't cooperate, but we are going to cooperate as much as we can. Let's see. So moving on to, I think is this Georgia? The Appalachia High School shooting. So a grand jury indicted the son and the father that was also accused in this. So I think that we're going to see much more cases like this where if you have a child especially with mental health issues, where there was signs that there was something happened and you give them access to guns, you are also going to be charged. If we own weapons, if we own guns, we have to be responsible gun owners. We have to. Children cannot have access to guns. Period. Especially children that are suffering with mental health issues, behavioral issues, because a lot of these school shootings, there were signs. It's not like these kids just woke up one day and decided to do this. The majority of the time, there are signs. Some of them the FBI even knew beforehand. A couple of them, actually. So this is in Georgia because this is Atlanta news.
County grand jury formally indicted Colt Gray, the suspected gunman, and his father, Colin Gray, in connection with the school shooting at Appalachia High School. 2 teachers and 2 students were killed. 14-year-old Christian Angulo, 14-year-old Mason Schermerhorn, 39-year-old Richard Aspinwall, and 53-year-old Christina Irami. Atlanta News First Patrick Quinn is there in Barrow County tonight. Patrick, the accused shooter and his father are facing dozens of charges.
Today, a father and son indicted on murder charges here in Barrow County. The DA saying that both Colt and Colin Gray, they share responsibility in the shooting at Appalachia High School on September 4th. A simple page shuffle with serious implications. Judge Joseph Booth officially reading into record the 55 charges in an indictment handed up by a grand jury against Colt Gray, the suspected gunman in the Appalachia High School shooting.
Barrow County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Barrow County District Attorney Brad Smith now charging Colt Gray with malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault in the deaths of 2 teachers and 2 students.
We hope this can start the process of healing for the community.
Colt Gray also faces charges for allegedly inflicting pain to those injured and shot at. But Smith knows while there were 25 listed victims in this case, there were thousands more shaken from this shooting.
The charged victims we have are the ones that the crime was actually directed towards, but every person, every kid in that school was a victim. Kids in all the other schools that were locked down during this were victims. Parents that were terrified about where their kids were and what was happening were victims.
Colin Gray, who appeared in court a day earlier, now facing 29 criminal charges himself for his alleged role in this shooting. Investigators testified Colin Gray bought the gun and ammunition used by Colt in the September 4th shooting.
He stated that he was purchasing as a Christmas gift for his son. It was to be a replacement weapon for a firearm he had previously purchased for Colt earlier that year as a hunting weapon.
DA Smith said he'll let the facts of this investigation speak for themselves if and when this case goes to trial. And while he recognizes it's uncommon for a parent to be criminally charged after a school shooting, he hopes this case sparks change.
Hopefully, everyone in America will look at what is happening, look at the facts when they come out, especially at trial, and realize the things that we can do individual level to stop this violence from happening.
And while we're still waiting to hear back from the attorney of Colin Gray, the attorney of Colt Gray told me no comment when I asked about the indictment and the charges filed today. Now, both Colin and Colt Gray, they're expected back in court here on November 21st. From Barrow County, Patrick.
I needed to unmute myself. Let's remember that in this specific case, the FBI, law enforcement met with the family. There was high concern. And after that, the father bought him a gun as a present. Like, in this case, the father 1,000% should be charged. It's not like one of those other cases like, oh, are parents responsible for the stuff that their kids do and blah, blah, blah. This one, he literally put the gun in his hand. This wasn't a kid going, in the parents' room and finding something. This was the kid's own gun that his dad bought him. All right. So an ex-Olympian snowboarder is now basically a cocaine cowboy. They're in a massive drug trafficking ring in South Florida. It's kind of wild to go from an Olympian to a El Chapo, basically.
We're learning new details about the FBI raid at a mansion in Aventura. Authorities are revealing it was all part of the takedown of a massive drug operation.
Tons of cocaine allegedly trafficked each year across North America, and the operation's ringleader, a former Olympian, is on the run.
More than a dozen people have been arrested in this transnational drug ring,
including a music executive in Aventura, and that's where we find Local 10's Rosh Lowe, who's live with the new details. Rosh.
We knew this was a big deal yesterday when we broke this story, and residents were like, Rosh, this looked like a scene out of a movie. The FBI was everywhere. Now today we understand that this is a very big deal. A major drug trafficking operation, say the feds, busted.
The organization led by Ryan Wedding cultivated a violent transnational drug trafficking empire.
We are learning much more about the FBI raid in Aventura that took place in the early morning hours Wednesday.
FBI sirens were going out. It was saying, FBI, step outside with your hands up. Lahim Jorge Bonilla, we have a warrant for your arrest.
Bonilla, one of many indicted in a massive drug ring, says the FBI. In total, 16 people have been charged.
One defendant was arrested in the city of Aventura.
From March to August of this year alone, we found they had transported just under 2 tons of cocaine. This group was ruthless and violent. They would use contract killers to assassinate anyone who they saw as an obstacle to their operation. This group was led by an individual named Ryan Wedding. Ryan Wedding previously was an Olympic athlete for Canada.
Wedding still on the run.
They would move the cocaine into the Los Angeles area, and from there, move it to the east coast of the United States.
The feds say this was an enterprise that raked in billions. A law enforcement response on Williams Island telling this story as the feds swoop in from coast to coast, breaking up this operation. Okay, let's get to the very latest on this case. Ryan Wedding, who the feds say is the ringleader of this whole operation, he is on the run. The feds offering a $50,000 reward. Now, we're going to learn a lot more when the suspect here in Aventura appears in court in the upcoming days. We'll, of course, keep you posted. We're live tonight.
Wow, I was joking when I said he was El Chapo because billions of dollars had people executed. Went from a Olympic athlete to like a drug kingpin. Like, I'm sure he had a lot of money, but yeah, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Not a good idea at all. All right, let's see. I'm going to remove this one. Don't got time for that one. All right. So going back to, I don't know if I covered anything in Harris County yet. Going to Harris County, one of the issues that has been happening specifically in Harris County, it is happening all over the country where judges are giving bond to people that have an extensive criminal history and are committing crime, going back to the judge, getting bond, and rinse and repeat. There's no revoking of bonds. People are out on 5, 6, 7, 8 bonds. So I have an example of that. So somebody that has gone through the justice system over and over, revolving door, keep getting lenient bonds, and it ends up in murder. So in the Houston area, there have been since 2018 over 200 people murdered by repeat violent offenders out on multiple bonds. Not just one. These are not just a first time offender. These are repeat violent offenders out on multiple bonds murdering people. And it's still not changing anything. And this is why we need to change some laws in the legislation.
On tonight's Breaking Bond, a 21-year-old ex-con now charged with capital murder in a deadly mass shooting was wanted in another county when a visiting judge there gave him break after break.
And that judge took no action when he was charged with possessing a machine gun. Fox 26's Randy Wallace joining us live from the courthouse with the latest in his ongoing series. Randy.
Yeah, Anthony. Now, in more and more instances, I'm seeing visiting judges grant low bonds to repeat offenders. Those judges answer to no one, not even voters.
No, it'll never be the same. I'm just missing so much. It hurts so bad.
These individuals have been wreaking havoc across this country and are wanted by multiple agencies.
One of them, 21-year-old Javian Noel, should have been locked up or have higher bond amounts. Instead, the revolving door at the Harris County Criminal Courthouse freed him no matter what he did. 2 years ago, Noel was convicted of felony theft.
He was part of a catalytic converted theft organized crime ring.
In November of last year, Noel was charged with theft in Collin County.
So he's out on bond in Collin County. And then things really pick up in Harris County.
February of this year, Noel is charged with unlawfully carrying a weapon. Court documents state he's in possession of a firearm and a backpack with multiple loaded firearm magazines.
So he was a wanted fugitive in Collin County when he was given a bond in Harris County for the firearm charge.
And that's not the only bond he got in Harris County.
No. So now he's out on bond in Harris County. Meanwhile, he's still a wanted fugitive in Collin County.
August of this year, Noel is charged with having a prohibited weapon, a machine gun.
The bond isn't even higher. The bond is the same amount that he originally got in February, which was $10,000.
Less than a month later, September 14th, Noel and 2 others are now charged with capital murder in a mass shooting that happened at 4901 Laura Copy.
3 people end up dead, 8 people wounded.
These people were socializing, they were listening to music, and they were barbecuing. Quite frankly, they were doing nothing wrong and they were minding their own business.
One of those killed, 23-year-old Breon Stewart.
It was our world, you know. Breon was the easiest person to get along with. Breon didn't have any enemies.
This was done seemingly for no reason at all.
From my understanding, they was on their way getting ready to leave. That's how he ended up getting caught in the middle of that.
He's a menace to society, and we still put him back out here.
I don't understand how is that possible.
Noel is scheduled to be back before a judge this Friday. Now, the judge could deny him bond because of the capital murder charge. State law allows
He
that.
won't.
We'll see what happens. Reporting live.
He won't. They won't. I know they won't. They very rarely deny bond. Even where with the few stipulations where they can deny bond, they very, very rarely do. I'll be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked. Yeah, so this guy has been in felony court. The other, is it, I don't even know how to say his name right. Fleischer, Judge Fleischer is misdemeanor court. But I think they said it was visiting judges that were doing this, because some of the court, we have visiting judges, and some of the courts were very behind in Harris County with our cases. And I don't see how you get bond when you're wanted in another county. Like, how is that possible? Aren't you supposed to hold them for the other county? Like, isn't that how that works? So last legislative session, we tried to get a law passed that would allow judges to take their previous criminal history into account when setting bond, and then allowing them to deny bond in some cases. And we couldn't get that passed. We did not get that passed. So we're going to try again, because we really need to have, judges need to be able to have more discretion when it comes to that. Because in the state of Texas, it is your constitutional right to get bond no matter what, unless there's very specific stipulations. Capital murder is one of them. But again, even in those cases, it's very, very rarely used. So that's why this happens so often. This reporter, Randy Wallace, has a whole series about this shit. Breaking bond. If you go to Fox 26, there's a whole series about breaking bond. You will see hundreds of incidents just like this. And I know somebody that her brother was murdered, and the murderer, they followed him home and killed him, robbery, and then he got bond, and then he went to another county and did the same thing and murdered somebody else. And unfortunately, that's not uncommon either, where they're murdering more than one person. All right, so I need to get like a noise for perverts. So another pervert, Orange County, this guy exposed himself while students were on their way to school. And I do like sharing them because I want to show their faces, because this is very likely not their first time doing something. So if there are other victims, they would feel more comfortable speaking up when they see that other people have already done so. So this is Orange County.
Police in Tustin arrest a man after they see him exposing himself to students on their way to school. KCAL's Michelle Gili has more on how police tracked him down and why officers believe there could be more victims.
That's gross. That's gross. The action is gross. The kids, that's just terrible.
Parents in Tustin are upset, yet relieved that police arrested 36-year-old Christopher Scott Shelton for allegedly exposing himself near Browning Avenue as students walked to middle school.
I'm glad I bring my kid to school. Two, that is very upsetting that is happening, that there is an adult out there doing that to innocent children.
Several incidents were reported to law enforcement beginning in September. When undercover officers parked in the area Tuesday, they say they caught him in the act.
The incident was predominantly happening on Tuesdays. There were other days, but predominantly happening on Tuesdays. So as a result, Tustin Investigations Unit yesterday conducted a surveillance. During that surveillance, a vehicle matching the description arrived, and the subject was seen by officers exposing himself. At that time, officers moved in, made an arrest.
Officials say Shelton would wait in his 2014 Kia near Ut Middle School and expose himself as students made their way to campus. A mom who didn't want to be identified wondered why parents weren't told about the crimes weeks ago in order to keep their kids safe. Terry Yaks reacted after learning the incidents also happened at Tustin High, where her other child goes to school.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm shaking now over that. Well, like I said, I'm glad that they did catch him.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to think. I'm glad they caught him, but I think that's nuts. I definitely think there should be more awareness.
Based on their investigation, officers believe that there are other victims, not only from Ut Middle School, but also from Tustin High School and Valley High School in Santa Ana. Police want those students to report it if something has happened to them. In Tustin, Michelle G.
I would be pissed if the school didn't tell me something like that happened. Like, why wouldn't you alert parents of that? You don't want to deal with that? Is that what that is? That doesn't make any sense. All right, so got about 20 minutes left. I'm looking at the stuff that we have. Okay, so it says, all right, so the Delphi trial is supposed to start today. The prosecutor in the Menendez trial is speaking out. He is upset about the movement to release the brothers. So we're going to start out with that, and then we're going to look into some stuff with Delphi. And then I have a video about a wanted person, and then I have a few animal videos to end with, because, yeah, I like ending it on animals. So let's get into the Menendez brothers.
There is a lot of momentum behind the effort to free Lyle and Eric Menendez from prison after 35 years. Today, more than a dozen of their family members banded together outside the Los Angeles criminal courthouse to make a very public push for their release. Jim Murray was there.
It's a stunning show of support for the Menendez brothers. Today, 24 relatives of Eric and Lyle Menendez banded together at LA's criminal courthouse and called on the brothers' release from prison. Among the relatives, Joan Anderson Vandermolen, the sister of Kitty Menendez.
As their aunt, I had no idea of the extent of the abuse they suffered at the hands of my brother-in-law. None of us did. The truth is, Lyle and Eric were failed by the very people who should have protected them, by their parents, by the system, by society at large.
She wants them home by Thanksgiving so they can celebrate her 93rd birthday.
They have changed and they have become better men despite everything that they've been through.
Nephews and nieces of both Jose and Kitty issued urgent pleas.
I am the niece of Jose Menendez. Not just as a member of the Menendez family, but as someone who believes in truth, justice, and healing. Lyle and Eric deserve a chance to heal, and our family deserves a chance to heal with them.
The highly anticipated press conference had media outlets from as far away as Australia packed in front of the courthouse to hear the relatives plead their case. LA's district attorney announced he's reviewing new evidence in the case. But the prosecutor in the Menendez murder trial is blasting calls for the brothers' freedom.
Your beliefs are not facts. They're just beliefs. I'm telling you now, that whole defense was fabricated.
Pamela Bazonert says the brothers brutally gunned down their parents in 1989 to inherit their $14 million family fortune. Eric and Lyle claim they committed the slayings to stop their father's relentless sexual abuse. ABC's Juju Chang spoke with talk show host Rosie O'Donnell, who's been fighting for the brothers' release. What is Rosie's relationship like with the brothers?
She felt as a victim of sexual abuse, which is what she told me, she felt she believed them. She's visited them multiple times in prison. She's seen their life behind bars, and she refers to herself as their big sister.
The full Nightline segment airs tomorrow on Hulu. Now the family hopes the public will join their fight to release the brothers.
From the beginning, I believed Lyle and Eric were victims of their father's abuse.
A hearing on that new evidence is set for November 29th.
Okay, so November 29th is going to be, I want to see what the new evidence says. Excuse me, I wasn't ready. Where has Rosie O'Donnell been? She used to be everywhere. And, she has a podcast? Oh. Well, I am only listening to Colt's podcast at the moment. I am obsessed with listening to these cults podcast. I have been messaging Steve and talking to him about all this cult stuff every day. So him and I are going to do a dual stream soon to discuss some cults. There's so much stuff. Like Charles Manson is connected to more than just his own cult. Did you guys know that his whole belief and all that propaganda, the helter skelter, he got that from another cult? But I'll get into that. And the murders of Sharon Tate and whatever catapulted a different cult because that was connected to that one. So it's like 3 degrees of separation of Charles Manson and these cults. And yeah, it's very interesting stuff. So we'll see what happens with the Menendez trial. The 29th, I mean, I'm in an office, so I can't. I will, Thanksgiving. Okay, yeah, I will be off work on the 29th because we are off the day after Thanksgiving. So yeah, maybe I can cover it. So yes, I will be off that day. Oh, your baby's getting married tomorrow? Oh, congratulations. Oh no. Well, Tokyo, if you email me where it is, what channel it is, I'll try. Because in the morning I can a little bit. All right. So this video was released, the Delphi
5 starts.
Why are you so loud? So this was 11 hours ago. Some of the latest developments in the Delphi. I'm going to speed this up because it is a longer video. So if it sounds weird, it's because it's 1.25 instead of just normal.
Now.
And you are looking live at the Carroll County courtroom where we are now just a matter of hours away from the opening statements in the Delphi murders trial. Good evening, everyone. I'm Phil Sanchez.
And I'm Dakari Turner. We do have full team coverage for you tonight on a flurry of activity in 2 different courthouses. We start first with News 8's Kyla Russell and a big day in Fort Wayne. Kyla, you do have news on those sketches we've all heard about and on whether the jury will actually go to the crime scene.
The 12-seat jury panel was officially sworn in today at the Allen County Courthouse behind me. 8 of them are women and 4 of them are men, many of them leaving their jobs, spouses, kids, and lives here behind in Fort Wayne. Over the next month, they'll be presented with evidence and tasked with deciding if Richard Allen murdered Abby Williams and Libby German in February of 2017. After their swearing in came a slew of unanswered questions for Special Judge Fran Gohl. The first up was a hearing brought by the prosecution asking jurors not see these 2 sketches, released first in 2017 and the second in 2019. The prosecution brought in a forensic artist who drew one of the suspect sketches used in the investigation. It's not clear if he created either of the 2 sketches released to the public. The artist said that in June of 2017, he did interview a witness who was at the Monon High Bridge the day the 2 girls went missing in Delphi. And there were some tense moments in court as the defense argued the sketches must be included as evidence. The prosecution says the sketches could confuse the jury and aren't relevant to the case. Judge Gohl said she'd have a decision by Friday. Then came another surprise. The defense withdrew its request to have the jury visit the crime scene during the trial. It's something they had argued would help the jury understand exactly what happened to the girls and where. Prosecutors had objected, citing security concerns and changes in the area in the 7 years since the murders. Finally, Gohl ruled she would allow guards and inmates who witnessed Richard Allen's behavior while in custody to testify, but they won't be allowed to answer questions if they believe he's guilty. She also said she needed more time to think about whether an expert the defense wants to call about ballistics analysis will get to take the stand. Judge Gohl was sure to emphasize to the jurors today while they were being sworn in that they'll be able to have family visits and phone calls, all supervised by the bailiffs. That's something we had heard, but she had not yet confirmed to them. Reporting here in Fort Wayne, I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV. WishTV.com or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Kyle, thank you. Now let's bring in ITMate's Tim Spears in Delphi. Tim, we know the jury is in Carroll County and that you just finished meeting with the judge, I understand?
Yes, just a bit ago inside the courthouse, Judge Fran Gohl told us she plans to run a tight ship, holding court 6 days a week, not even stopping for Election Day. She told jurors to vote before arriving here in Carroll County, and now they're sequestered under the supervision of the sheriff's office.
There's been a lot of social media rumors, and I think they're just ready to get to the bottom of what actually happened.
Emily Miller hopes to see the truth come out in this courtroom, but there will be no cameras in this court to capture the testimony from the stand. judgments from the bench, or Richard Allen's reaction if a verdict is announced 7 years after the deaths of Abigail Williams and Liberty German.
You know, it's a horrible thing that happened to innocent people. And I feel especially bad for the family just because they've been through so much.
Just outside, barriers are being set up and tarps cover the court's west entrance, providing privacy for the jurors, judge, family, and Richard Allen. Miller says people living in Delphi who want privacy are planning to avoid downtown altogether.
There is a lot of older people who live here, so I think a lot of them are choosing to stay home instead of come out and do their regular activities.
A whole lot of cars and parking being taken up and everything like that.
Chad McLaughlin has seen police patrolling parking spots, heavily enforcing restrictions to make sure the trial doesn't interrupt daily life.
We get 2-hour parking tickets all the time.
And jurors' time over the next several weeks will be spent in this courtroom, deciding whether police have finally caught Abby and Libby's killer.
I think the truth will come out. I think that there's been a lot of hearsay, what the scene looked like, what actually happened, what evidence they have. So I think everybody is ready to hear the truth.
There are just 72 seats inside that courtroom, 30 reserved for family members, 12 set aside for press, the rest first come, first serve. Judge Gold said the daily schedule will be fluid depending on the day's testimony. Reporting live in Delphi, Tim Spears for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook for updates.
All right, Tim, thank you. Opening statements for the Delphi murder trial is happening tomorrow morning. News 8 will be there throughout the day covering it for you starting on daybreak. If you want to keep up with everything that has happened leading up to opening statements, just scan that QR.
That is not a lot of seating. They said 72 seats, 30 for family of the victims, and then 12 for the press. So very few people are going to make it inside that courtroom. I know that Defense Diaries is up there and that there's a few creators that are up there. So very curious what time they're going to have to be there to get in. All right. So San Antonio is offering a $10,000 reward for a murder that happened in Applebee's. Normally it's a $5,000 reward, so I'm surprised that it's $10,000.
An update tonight, a $10,000 reward is now being offered for tips leading to a murder suspect. New Braunfels police say Richard Rosas is one of 3 people believed to be involved in the death of 19-year-old Chance Heron. Heron and a 20-year-old woman were shot while sitting in his car on October 1st in an Applebee's parking lot on I-35. In the days following the shooting, police were able to identify the 3 suspects and arrest 2 of them. Justin Sherrard is currently in the Comal County Jail on a $100,000 bond. Jacob Rouser was arrested in Alabama. He's waiting to be extradited back to Comal County. If you have any information on where Rosas is, call Comal County Crime Stoppers.
Like, all these kids are so young. I wonder, I just met somebody who their cousin was murdered when they went out to dinner with their girlfriend. So I'm wondering if this is the case. But I mean, there's sadly a bunch of, murders that have happened at places to eat. All right, so let's see. Okay, so where is this? Okay, so the next video is a shooting that happened at a Dunkin' Donuts in Miramar. So this is South Florida.
All right, Janice, thank you. We have new surveillance video of the moments after a deadly shooting in the parking lot of a Dunkin'.
And 2 people were shot. One of them did not make it. And now we're learning a lot more about these victims. Local 10's Sanella Sabovic is joining us live. She's at that scene in Miramar with the very latest. Sanella.
Christy and Louis, there are 2 scenes connected to this double shooting, one about a half a mile away along Miramar Parkway. And this was the second scene here along State Road 7, where police would make a deadly discovery.
I heard at least 5. They were one after the other.
An early morning shooting jolting neighbors who live by this Dunkin' Donuts along Miramar Parkway. Numerous shell casings were found in the parking lot around 3:30 a.m. The neighboring building had a bullet hole and blood on the ground. When police got to the scene, they wouldn't find any victims. Then there were more calls for help.
They received 2 additional 911 calls. One was at the Memorial Regional Hospital of an adult male victim that had suffered a gunshot wound. A second call was also in the area of the 2200 block of State Road 7.
At that location, a half a mile away from the Dunkin' Donuts, officers would find one of the victims dead inside a car. You're looking at surveillance video from that scene. A dark-colored car driving slow right next to a police cruiser. The cruiser pulls over, and an officer seen talking to a person inside the car. Officers were later seen examining the vehicle and covering the body. One man was in handcuffs, but investigators say no arrests have been made.
At this time, no one is detained in a sense of them being a suspect. They are witnesses that were on scene and remained on scene, and they are cooperating with police.
Later on in the day, family members arrived to the crime scene. The victim's pregnant wife was overcome with emotion upon learning the tragic news. She was then taken away by paramedics.
And we're told by police that the second victim is doing okay. You heard there, no arrests have been made. So police could really use help from the public. If you have any information, give the Miramar Police Department a call, or you can remain anonymous and call Broward Crime Stoppers at 954-493-TIPS. Reporting live out of West Park, Snella Sabovic, local.
Poor pregnant wife. That's horrible. I couldn't imagine being pregnant and that happening. All right, so I got one more crime video and then some animal videos, and then we'll be done for today. So West Seattle has a higher murder rate this year than the previous year. It's they've already matched last year's murder rate now. So it's October. There's, still October, November, and December left in 2024. So Seattle's already exceeding their homicides the previous year. So, you should be careful anywhere, but definitely be extra careful in Seattle, y'all.
Yeah, unfortunately and tragically, Preston, it all happened in the middle of this gas station parking lot at 8 o'clock in the evening, so it wasn't even late outside. With it, West Seattle could be seeing soon its highest murder rate in years.
Half a dozen murder cases in West Seattle with the year not even over yet.
It's quite traumatizing to be so close to something so tragic.
The latest case happened right in front of Trudy Mitchell's old workplace. Her friends and former coworkers witnessed all of it, which is why she showed up here to comfort them.
They're having a hard time. Yeah, it's hard to shake what they saw.
A 53-year-old man died in this case, all while the suspect is still out there. This case marking murder number 6 here so far this year. That's equal to the number of murders in all of 2023.
It's scary. West Seattle is considered kind of like one of the nicer neighborhoods to live in if you can afford it.
Seattle police tell Como nearly every murder so far was an isolated incident, including in this case, where a 15-year-old boy was shot and killed in the bathroom of a community center.
You can't hug that family good enough. Their lives have changed forever because of today.
That case was the first murder in all of Seattle, including West Seattle in 2024. Both that case and this most recent one are unsolved as this part of Seattle braces for more possible heartache before the year is done.
And with regard to the murder that happened here in this parking lot over the weekend, the search for the suspect is ongoing. Police haven't said much. They're looking for information. If you know what happened or have any information, give police a call immediately. Coming to you live.
I really wish that they wouldn't record the victims' families when they are going through the absolute worst moment of their life, because that kind of pain, I can't even describe what it feels like. I really don't know how I would feel if somebody recorded my reaction and it's all over for the world to see. I will never forget that day and how I reacted, but I don't think I would want to see it. I don't think that I would want it recorded and played for everybody. I mean, I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about that because that's 2 victims' families that we've seen in a row that are crying and at the crime scene. Yeah. So anyway, okay. All right. So a quick little update on Trooper, the dog that was rescued during the hurricane. And then more kitties. You know, I love kitties. Yes, it's much too personal. It's way too personal. And it hurts my heart because I know what they're feeling. I know what they're going through. And then it's just a clip on the evening news, you know? So I have a really hard time with that. But, you know, there's freedom of the press, freedom of speech, uh, you know, and where do we draw the line? All right. So now my favorite part.
Rescue and recovery efforts continue.
Animals in the news. I love animals. So an update on Trooper. We've seen stuff about Trooper a few times. You know, he was tied up and abandoned by his owner, and the moron tied him to a fence because he couldn't take the dog with him. If you have to, at least let the dog roam free. But he was trying to get rid of that dog for months, so he wanted something to happen to that beautiful baby. But even the Florida governor spoke out and was pissed off about it and said that they would prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. So they are. That was one of my favorite mugshots to see. So here's an update on how Trooper's doing.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, one victim of the storm is taking his first tentative steps into a new life. The Leon County Humane Society has named this little guy Trooper after video of him seemingly tied to a post on the side of I-75 and rescued by an FHP trooper went viral. Trooper now living with a foster family here in Tallahassee, de-stressing, getting some TLC as the Leon County Humane Society works to figure out the truth behind his circumstances during the storm and the best outcome for his future, a future it credits to the Florida Highway Patrol.
From what I saw on the video, I think their efforts were heroic. I think they went above and beyond for a situation that was already potentially one that could have been scary for another individual. They didn't have the tools necessary, I'm sure, but through patience and just diligence, they earned the trust of this dog. And I think they should be commended for that.
Glunt says, though Trooper is understandably traumatized, he is healthy and doing well.
Poor baby. I bet he's probably not going to like thunderstorms anymore because he's literally caught in the middle of a hurricane. And yeah, she's right. Approaching a dog that is scared. The dog was growling and stuff when the state trooper got up there, but he worked his patience to free that dog. So kudos to that state trooper. You know, he didn't have to do that, but you know, he's a good person. So the next video is a wild lynx. So a lynx is, you know, a wild type of cat. They're larger cats. So it adopted some stray kittens and is raising it as its own little babies.
Meet Lynx named Lena. She came to the zoo when she was still a baby. Lynx immediately won the hearts of not only the staff, but also the visitors. Well, that's understandable. Everyone loves cats, no matter how big or small, wild or domestic. But Lena, surprised with something completely different, she had a very strong maternal instinct. And this began to manifest itself as soon as she grew up a little. She has not yet had her own children, but the lynx is happy to accept other species babies who need help. Now Lynx is only 1 year old and she is still very young for her offspring. But she began preparing for its appearance a long time ago. She has already managed to raise 2 bear cubs, 5 small puppies and even a baby raccoon. She raised and educated all these animals, and she did not care that she and her adopted children were completely different species. This example once again shows that people can still learn a lot from animals. One day, zoo workers found a cardboard box. When they opened it, they were shocked. There were 3 little kittens sitting inside. They were small and urgently needed a mother. Zoo staff decided without hesitation that this would be Lynx Lena. The little kittens were given into the care of the predator, who happily agreed to become their mother. At first, the lynx treated the babies with some mistrust, but after mutual sniffing and careful study, she began to fulfill the duties of a foster mother. She began to lick the kittens as if they were her own, and did not leave them for a step. The kittens also liked the new mother lynx. They seem not to even understand that she is somehow different from the usual mother cat. Lynx is really very friendly because she grew up with people and other animals. But the kittens are unlikely to stay with their new mother for long, since some people already want to shelter the babies at home. And the interest of visitors is quite justified, since it is not every day that you can take a kitten that was raised by a lynx. But soon the big cat will be able to acquire her own cubs, and looking at her, we can say with confidence that she will be the most wonderful mother. If you liked our video,
It's a very the most AI news thing that I've come across yet, but that was a very sweet story. Sweet little lynx, cutie patootie. I had another video that I wanted to play that was cute, but I'm going to make it for Monday. So let me make my playlist now before I forget. Anyway, so that is going to be it for today. I got to hop in the shower and get going, y'all. I already have my clothes picked out, so just got to fix this mess and jet out of here and make sure I don't stink. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. It is Friday. In my mind, I just had the quote from Friday. It's Friday. You ain't got no job. You ain't got shit to do. But I do. I have a job and I have shit to do. Uh, well, I love you guys. I hope that you have a beautiful Friday. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I will not be streaming this weekend. I might stream later on Sunday. I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to the State Fair. I'm going to see Shay from True Compass and hang out with her and her husband. Pretty excited for that. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all being here so much. And make sure that you guys are following me on the other platforms. I do stream on Kick generally on Sundays after Murder Church, but I won't be home until like 3 p.m. So if I do stream, it'll be later. So I stream Love After Lockup on Sundays, and sometimes I stream documentaries and stuff on Kick that I would get in trouble on YouTube. But I hope everybody has a great day and a wonderful weekend. And I appreciate y'all again for joining me every morning so early. Love you all. Bye.